In this lesson, we're going to create the stitching for the pants. Alright, so we've created the pockets in the last lesson. We've got our wrinkles in, we've got some nice folds. Now what we want to do is we want to start to really set off the design of these pants by creating the stitching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load in this Gene Stitch brush, which I've already done here. But just to kind of show you how to load a brush again, just go to your brushes, load brush, and then you're going to go to the folder that you've saved that brush. Now again, this Gene Stitch brush that we're using, we're not going to redistribute that, but I have given you a link in a text file that you can go to and download that brush. It's free to use, so I'm more than welcome to do that. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to the back of the jeans here. One thing that I want to just kind of show you is that pants are constructed in a very specific way. One thing that gets forgotten about is that there's a band that goes across the top of the jeans. And it's separated by the stitching that starts right about here. So the band that's going across your jeans is probably about 1 inch to 2 inches wide. Okay? And so we want to create stitching that separates that. And so make sure you have symmetry turned on as well. So hit X to do that if you need to. And just come in and start to bring that in. Now if your stitching doesn't look like this, it probably means that you don't have enough geometry. So make sure you subdivide it, go up to like subdivision level 4, and that should give you enough. Now if that's still not enough, go ahead and take it up until you do have enough. And you could also take your intensity up a little bit too. I've taken mine up to 12 from 7. Okay, and so I'm going to just come in and draw that in. And I'm just going to kind of trace out the waist band here. I'm going to go all the way out to the edge just like that. Perfect. Alright, so now we've shown that there's a waistband here. Now what I want to do is I want to come right in from the bottom and start dragging in this stitch. Now, one thing that you'll notice here is that I have symmetry turned on. This alpha is not really meant to create a seam that is sewn from both sides. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right across the center and start to drag and then hold shift, and that will ensure that I can create a nice straight line. Look at that. So we can create a pretty nice seam with this nice little seam right down the middle, showing that it's being sewn together. So we'll start again, hold shift, I'll drag that down underneath there. We don't have to go all the way through or anything like that. I just want to show that we can create a seam that way. Alright, now there are going to be other seams, and it depends on the design of the pants themselves. Okay, jeans are constructed in a very basic way, but then once we start getting into different designs and things like that, it may change up. We're going to try to stick with something that's pretty familiar. So I've got a nice stitch going across the top there, one down the back, and then we're going to need to stitch right down the side here. Now I'm going to back up a little bit. Actually, you know what, let's zoom in. Let's see if we can get the top down to the thigh here. And I'm just going to hold down, or actually I'm just going to start drawing right down the side here. Okay, and we'll go down as far as we can, and we'll just kind of move our canvas a little bit, and we'll try to click right on that line there. That's where the alpha starts. And we'll just start to come in. Now once we start getting down to the wrinkles, you may want to kind of change the direction a little bit to kind of show that it's trying to follow along with the wrinkles. You don't want to try and create stitching that just goes straight down through it. It won't look right. Okay. So we'll come down the side of the leg, and then we'll go down to the compression lines, and again we're going to try to create a change in direction on the stitching there, but it may be kind of hard to do there. Alright, so we're looking good. Let's back up, take a look at our seam. Pretty happy with the way that looks so far. Now don't forget about the inside of the leg. Now this one's going to be a little bit tougher to do. So we'll have to try and get a pretty good angle. And then we'll come in and we'll just start drawing in on that leg. Now the inside of the leg, not going to be quite as noticeable, but we want to have it there just in case. So I'm just kind of taking a look. What does that look like? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that so far. Okay, and then we'll come right down the inside of the leg like that. And I know I just cut through those compression lines, but I think that it's okay. It's being kind of hidden anyway. Alright, so there we have our stitching. Alright, looks good. Now, we also have the jeans, the pockets of these. And so I want to go ahead and create that and see what that looks like. Now you'll notice here, getting this nice little crease underneath there, and it's giving us a nice pattern for the jeans. And we'll come out to this point here, looking really good. Now I want to raise this up a little bit, okay? And we'll do that, but let's finish blocking out the stitching. You may have this stitch comes right down the side here. Actually, you know what, let's go from the across here, and then we'll go down. Because there's, sometimes this little third pocket that gets put in there. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and grab our damn standard brush, and let's go to alpha 39, where we get this nice little point here. And I'm going to take the draw size down to about 10 or 12, and then let's come right down the side here, and let's start to kind of trace out or push in a little bit right along the outside of that seam there. Okay. And you can take that draw size down just a little bit more and just kind of go over that again. And there we go. Okay. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Actually, you know what? I'm backing up, and that's really popping along the top of that. Let's do this instead. I'm going to show you a different way to kind of make that look like it's pushed in. Let's go ahead and hold down. Let's bring our draw size up really quickly. We're going to hold down Control. We're going to mask this off. So I'm going to start masking around that seam. And I just want to protect that. But then everything on the outside of that, we're going to push down a little bit. Okay. And if you need to, hold down Alt and refine that edge a little bit. Now we don't have to cover up all the pants or anything like that. So Control Alt. Yeah, let me try this again. Control Alt. Kind of refine that edge a little bit more. Just trying to really just barely bump that edge. Okay, great. Now with this, what I'll do is I'll grab my standard brush. And where'd you go? And then we'll hold down Alt and just lightly, right up against that seam, just push that in. May take your brush size up just a little bit. And just push that in. Just like that. And I'm going to go all the way across here. Just very lightly. Now, I'm creating these horizontal striations here, and I'm trying to just kind of make that look like it's wrinkling the pants there. Okay. And then if you need to, smooth it out, but I'm going to try to stay away from that stitching as much as possible, especially right up in here. Okay. Alright, now let's go ahead and hit Control, drag outside of that, and it kind of looks like that's being pushed in now. All right, great. So that looks much better than the damn standard brush there. And sometimes you just have to make decisions like that. Okay, all right, let's go down just a quick subdivision. I'm going to smooth out that a little bit more. Okay. All right, so that looks good. All right, so we have all of our stitching. Now we're ready to go. Now, if you wanted to, you can go ahead and create some stitching maybe across the bottom of the pants, but that's probably not going to be seen, and it's not quite as important. We could also go across the pockets, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, but you get the idea. Go to your pockets and then create the stitching across the outside and across the top there, just like we did with the pants, and we'll be finished with that. Now, in the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the boots. And we're going to start working on those, fleshing those out, and then we'll be coming back to the pants and just kind of bring all of that back together. So we'll get into that in our next lesson.